What's good, everybody? Hope you are having a wonderful week so far. Podcast time. Rose Ryot. If any of you know, he's one of my best friends. Used to be, or still is, but one of his projects is Born Dirty. His name is Mika. Yeah, one of my best friends in the world. He came on tour with me with Rose Ryot. And we had a really good conversation on this of what the music industry is for him and for myself, and what culture is, which I think is a very important subject to have. The mental ups and downs of what this industry can kind of bring to you as an artist. There was a big talk about the live show towards the end of or halfway through the podcast, and kind of how we both felt of what happened on the live show. So yeah, I love this conversation. I hope you guys do. So without further ado, Rose Ryot. Fucking go. We're rolling, baby. Rolling.
I saved this for the beginning. I might have to. We might have to pause at one time.
What?
At one point.
Why?
Because I'm probably gonna need to take a shit.
This isn't being edited.
I know. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Oh, so this is the third time you've been on the podcast.
Yes.
I feel like we do a podcast every week, personally.
We do. You know, it's funny you said that, because when we talk long, lengthy calls, I'm like, shit, man, we should really save this for the podcast. So we're going ham. But yeah.
I always look forward to it. To be fair, I've been doing the podcast 4 years, and this is our third one. So this is going into the fifth year, actually.
It's good. It's first one is Rose Ryot, but third one together.
Yeah, man. Rose Ryot. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Okay. Yeah, man.
Why the change? For people that's not listening, let's talk about the whole process of what you were before and what you were before that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so Rose Ryot, actually, the project before that is called Born Dirty, for the ones who may or may not know. So that's that. We can obviously circle back to that. But do you want me to turn it up here?
No, it's all good.
But Rose Ryot was actually a project that was created before Born Dirty. So it feels like it's something new, but in a sense, it really isn't. I've had releases out about 10 years ago on Katamuka. It's like a German label.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably my favorite body of work I've ever released. It was a 4-track EP. One that we
sick.
Thank you. One that we flipped into. So I think it gets confusing straight away, because we flipped. So I have another side project.
Don't talk about the other one. Everyone's going to get confused.
Well, but the thing is, it connects. It connects right there. I have another project called Nassim, and we have released music on your label.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that. But the crossroad with this is that there was one track on that EP that I've released 10 years ago that I got back because for whatever reasons, and we've released the I can't remember what it's called now, but we released that song on your label. So that
Warning?
was that. No.
New Generation, Le Chemin, or Haku?
Haku.
Yeah.
Haku. That's the one. Haku, which I fucking love. And so that's the crossroad. I'm Rose Ryot now. I used to be before Born Dirty. Meanwhile, there was this Nassim thing that came in because it was like a particular sound. And we've released a few tracks on your label, remixes and stuff like that. But I think it's fair to kind of like speak about all that together, because it's, they are different angles of my creativity, I guess. And I always say the only reason I think I have multiple names, and honestly, we're only talking about three. There's way more. There's so many. Some that you don't even know about.
No.
And that you probably don't. And it's you know, the only reason I kind of like I do that is because I always felt the pressure that, you know, you have to stick to a sound to justify what you're doing. And you know, if you know the Born Day stuff, you know that it's not quite true for me. I was still kind of like dabbing into different things, but Rose Ryot was very different, and this team is very different, and that feels good to know that when I need to express myself in that way, I can just go towards these projects. But the Rose Ryot project is my main project now.
What was the like tipping point of switching from Born Dirty being your full-time project to Rose Ryot?
It was in my mind for ages. It's been in my mind for a long time. I've had some woo-woo moments where, you know, it was during COVID, and we went at the end of COVID. We went to the desert with Noelle, my wife to be.
Lots has changed, baby. Lots has changed.
Oh my God, so much has changed. But yeah, we went to the desert. We booked a this amazing like caravan in the middle of nowhere. Like it's just this beautiful tiny caravan, and they've set it up with, you know, a little yard outside. And anyway, it was gorgeous, and it was just us, and it was night. And watching the stars, I was like in the fucking zone. And I remember in my mind, I was just like, hey, like, all right, I don't know, but if I need to do this Rose Riot thing, like, show me a sign. And then, and I literally said sign. I mean, mind you, we're in the desert. You have a zillion chance to fucking see a shooting star.
Shooting star.
Yeah, but I literally said, show me a sign. And on the end, I saw this crazy shooting star like go from like right to left over me. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll just that's all I need to know. I take that as a let's do it. But then, you know, it was hard to convince other people around me that, you know, this is what I wanted to do. The music was, you know, we were still in a realm of like very clubby. The sound of where I was and the industry, you know, we in at that point was very clear, and it was this and nothing else kind of thing.
Yeah.
So coming with like deeper, slower bits with like lyrics and, you know, real
Songs.
subjects, real songs, you know, was just not, you know, at that point was just, it was hard to convince the people around me. So I waited, and then eventually I ended up going to London to Defected for a catch up. They wanted to hear some music. I played them the Born Dirty stuff, which they've loved. I played them. I was like, hey, let me play you all the other stuff that I have. They loved it too. And yeah, from there we kind of like just worked, and I got signed to Defected to do an album for Rose Ryot, which we've written in like about 2 weeks. The demos, you know, just went so fast. It was so fun with some amazing people. And went back to LA and then just worked on that like for an entire year. Paused Born Dirty because I was dedicated to this, you know, thing fully. And they basically Defected was gonna start a new label. But it didn't happen. it didn't happen. After a year, they decided not to start this new label. I won't go into too much details about that and the whys and whatever, but
They
basically,
defected you.
pretty much, I was. It was tough times. Tough times.
Yeah.
The roller coaster was very hard.
Yeah.
I went from no one really believing in this vision I had to a lot of people believing in this vision I had to we're not going to do it for whatever reason. And
What were the reasons they gave you?
they were just not going to they haven't started this new label that they were going to do. So they started a new label because it was the sound was more left, so
Yeah.
a little bit more left, not that much left, but lefter than the classic defected stuff. And I believe they've signed some other artists, or they were planning to, and then that got paused. And that's basically all I got. It was just, this is it, and it's not going to happen. So it was an all year of work and dedication, and and focus, and also the step back of Born Dirty and working with that project. And I love that project, and I'm still going to work on it, but it's it was also my bread and butter that I completely paused.
Yeah.
Because I was dedicated to this new thing, and still am. But yeah, it's tough times, man. For that, it was hard.
Well, I think realistically, at the end of the day, if you've got somebody that's going all in, we're all in on this project with you. This is what we're going to give you. Blah 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 blah. We're going to start releasing on this date. You give them all what they ask for, and yes, of course, they finance bits of it, right? But financing, that's part of the deal. That we all sign up for that. But then somebody pulling the whole plug from it, it's not a year wasted. It's a year of learning, but it must be pretty tough mentally to kind of, and financially, to be in a situation where you are pretty much back at square one.
Yeah, it was. It still is, mate. It still is. I haven't fully recovered from that. I haven't. And essentially, like, emotionally, I haven't really recovered from that. And I've, it might be hard for some people to understand that, but it's just the reality. The roller coaster was really, 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 tough. But I have learned a lot. I also got all my music back, which is great.
Yeah.
So, it's now time to kind of like decide what I'm going to do with that music, whether I'm going to funnel that towards Rose Riot, or maybe funnel some of it towards Born Dirty and then some towards Rose Riot. But I have a very clear, I mean, as you know me, I'm saying I have a very clear idea of the sound I have right now, but in 2 weeks, it's going to be a different sound. So,
how do you juggle with that though? As like a human being, as an artist, as somebody that lives and works in a commercial setting, right? As artists, although we're artists, there is a commerce side of the business, right? We're in the music business. How do you cope with that mentally in yourself, that like you have a clear direction 1 week and then 2 weeks later you're like, is that confusing to you?
To me, it's not confusing. What's confusing to me is the reaction of others within the commercial world, or even people that don't understand the hyperactivity, or and I fucking hate using the word like ADHD, but I'm ADHD as fuck as it can be, but it doesn't always, it looks it if you know me, but it's hard for me. There's no, I can, look, we grew up listening to all sorts of music.
Yeah.
Like, and you could say the same thing for, I don't know, like, take any artist that do the same sound over and over, and that's what they do. I'm sure they've
Yeah.
listened to everything too, right? That doesn't mean they have to do everything. But for me, there's some days I walk in here and I want to make some jazz. There's some days I want to walk in here and make the most like abstract, hard industrial music, and everything in between. And sometimes I just want to grab my guitar and make some folk song because, I'm a Bob Dylan fanatic.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have to explain to someone sometimes, like, hey, like, I really hear this kind of like Bob Dylan vocals on this like really dope like garage beat, right? For most people, it's going to be like, what are you on about? If it's not the cliche of what you're used to, it doesn't tick, right? But for me, like, to come back to your question, it is very hard. Like, the reaction of others more so than how I feel about when I want to do what I want to do. That is not hard to me. I don't feel weird about that because I think as an artist, we should just do what the fuck we want. But as we know, as a business was not modeled by artists.
No.
Therefore, trying to fit like a shape in another shape without, mentioning the shapes. It's just, it's tough. Like, we artists, we just, you're the same. Like, listen to your album. That's a perfect example of what we're talking about right this second.
Yeah.
One song's like this, one song's like that. Okay, yeah, you didn't do a folk song and then a drum and bass track, right? It all sounds together, but to me, it sounds like someone that wants to make what the fuck he wants when he wants to do it, right? And I'm sure, like, I mean, I'm assuming you've paused on not doing some other stuff that you wanted to do because maybe it just was just a few steps too far from what was together.
There was one right in the album. There was drum and bass records written. There was very down tempo records written. There were piano stuff written, and that it was paused. But I guess for me, I kind of knew what I wanted to get out of that. I had to write those records to get to where I got to, but they weren't the be all and end all of me like holding on to those records and going, yeah, these have to be on the record. The last record that on the album, You Alone, is so not Will Clarke, like so not. But
you said that. Sorry to cut you, but that's not true. That's so not Will Clarke to people that don't know you.
That's how I mean. Yeah, that's how I mean. But like, people don't come and drive in my car and listen to what I listen to. It is me as a human being of what I listen to, but is it me as an artist in the commerce sense? No. However, like, it's an album record, right? And I have to accept that not every record on the album is going to do well, and some of it's I can indulge, which I guess turns into my other question of like, I understand what you're talking about, but what's stopping you just release the music?
Which one? The one I've written Defected?
Or just generally? Because I know you started releasing Rose Ryot, right? Like, you have the In Need of a Friend remix. You have your remake of Idols.
Yeah, I did a cover of Idols,
which is great. You're starting to release records, but I guess for me is like, what you're explaining is you being a true artist, right? And what's holding you back to do that?
So my therapy session is tomorrow.
This is number one. This is number
today,
one.
Mate. I was just like, oh God, this is going really deep. The layers that I have to lift to answer that question are a lot. It's pretty.
But I think a lot of people will kind of benefit from it, because there's a lot of people here that listen to this podcast that probably don't fit in sonically to everything, right?
Yeah.
And I think we live in especially now, especially with playlisting on DSPs, the way social media is, the way you kind of almost have to fit in to have any form of success to a certain extent, unless you're at a level where you can do what the hell you want. But it's still that there still has to be a level of like, oh, that makes sense. But I think there needs to be a situation where, as artists, we can have the ability to release music and be able to release what we want when we want.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we can, but what's stopping you?
I think like when I am ultra focused and my guts are very clear and I know what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm kind of like unstoppable. I'm going around to reply to your question, but I'm like, I have this feeling of like clarity that is so immense. Like it's just, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, what kind of music I'm supposed to release. The whole thing is in front of me and ahead of time. I can really see it. And then I get derailed very easily by people that I've had trust in, you know? So if I trust somebody, which is, as you know me, very hard for me to trust someone, like when I do and they fuck with my shit and that shit derails me, and it's really hard for me. It kind of like takes all my stuff and then throw it in like in a mess, and then it takes me ages to kind of like put it back together. And meanwhile I'm writing other music, and meanwhile there's people pounding on your head about being on social media, 9 hours a day, like all the things. But hey, how is the music going? Like, what's up? Like, how is, creativity from the core? How is that? That conversation is not in there. And we could take everything I've just said, put it in a bowl and throw it away and just be like, this is all excuses. Why are you not releasing music? Right. But because the way my brain works and the things I'm working on all the time, like, and I mean like emotionally, psychologically, I go into the gear of like procrastinating like a lot. And that's a trait of, ADHD and other, mental disorders. But it's like, then I fight with that. I'm like, dude, again, to take this in the ball and throw it away, and it's just an excuse. But at the same time, it's like sometimes it's like I'm so paralyzed. Like I'm paralyzed and I don't know how to juggle that. So therapy, close friends, family, sports, eat well, all things that I need to do, because if I didn't do any of this, dude, it would be a real shit show.
Yeah.
Now, I have so much music. I could fucking release tune every week, every day for, whatever. If I wasn't thinking, okay, well, that's a drum and bass track, that's a deep house, that's a folk thing, that's a jazz thing, that's a fucking left hybrid, whatever. Just don't care about that. Just release. If I did that just as an artist and not think about the business, I can do that all day. That's okay. It doesn't matter. And I do want to do that. But at the same time, I also want to live off of my music, because I worked almost my entire life towards that, really hard, and for the culture.
Totally.
That's something we have to bring back in the conversation. It's just like, we can talk about everything we're talking, but there's realms, like, there's parts, there's, the psychology behind it, the business, the emotional part of it, but also the culture. Like, are you trying to elevate the culture or carry the culture at least a little bit? I'm not saying like just being the most hardcore, like, niche culture, boom, boom, boom. And that's, God knows I respect them people too. But I think we forget that spice in the conversation often. Not us, but a lot of people when you talk. And it's just like, why are you not even mentioning the culture, where it comes from, where it's going, what are we doing with it? It's just like just using and not really like bringing something new to the table.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I kind of struggle with the most, and I think it gets forgotten about the most, is like, why do we do this? Because I think it's so easy, especially like where you and I have had careers and we make a living out of our music. I think it can get forgotten about to actually talk about why we do it, because the why turns into because we have to.
Yeah.
And I think we can make decisions that cost money, and then if those decisions don't pay back, it's like you forget why you made those decisions. A lot of those time, those decisions are because of the culture and because it's something that you've always looked forward to and wanted to do.
Yeah.
But because culture and commerce doesn't go hand in hand as well, it's that constant battle of like, can I pay my bills? In that sense, is what I'm doing now gonna pay the bills?
Yeah.
But I saw something with Tyler the Creator today. I'll send it to you on Instagram. And there's a point that and I know it's very easy for him to kind of come out and say this because it's Tyler the Creator and one of the greatest artists of our time at this moment in time. But he said like he still truly believes in artists releasing what they want and just keep releasing. And he's like, one of his albums has only just gone platinum and it's like 10 years since it came out. Mm-hmm. And I think for the artists that are listening that are struggling to get that mix up in their head of like, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I am, I don't know where I sit, like, I think that's totally okay.
Of course.
I think it's a case of just doing. And I know you and I have a conversation all the time about it, but I think there comes a point where we actually have to blank out the industry, because the industry is only built around us as artists. And if there wasn't artists, there wouldn't be labels, there wouldn't be agents, there wouldn't be managers, there wouldn't be PR companies, there wouldn't be gig clubs, there wouldn't be festivals. And I think there comes a point where if we have a vision as artists, we have to believe in that vision and push forward and do exactly what we need to do to get that vision heard. Does that mean does that mean that overnight it has to be successful? No. But
this is not what we do it for.
Exactly. And I think that's the tough thing, because in this day and age, right, with the way we consume music, the way we see music, the way we compare ourselves to others, there's this instant gratification needed of our streams are showed on these platforms, our likes are showed, and then instantly it's comparing to other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you feel that stops you from doing stuff?
The numbers on streaming, no. The numbers, no. That is absolutely not the reason why it stops me in my tracks of doing what I'm doing, and there is if you're someone who is just a creative and just creates and do the things, blah, 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 you have to remember that it's your calling.
Yeah.
right? It's just like, I don't put myself above, below, side of anybody. You know, it's not about like a level of where you are at, but there's a truth about, I do go deep about this, about what is your calling, and shit, man, like you can see, I'm hardcore, man, but there's some people, it's not your calling, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is the thing, is it's like, but your calling, it may be business,
Yeah.
and then you're really good at that, so the music is just a medium for your business to be successful. Great, and I mean that, but at the same time, this is how the industry is based. It's based around people like this. It's not based around people that are their true calling. Call them whatever you want, whether it's music or the art. Like, it's, again, like, I go deeper and ancient, but for me, like, the artists are like the healers, right? Like, in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's something I've really, like, firmly believe in, and that's why when I create, whether it's like some, banging, and look, I've released some tracks that, I look back and I'm like, this is not exactly what I would have liked to,
Yeah.
right?
We all have.
But they're rarer compared to all the tracks. Then when I release, I feel true about that 100%. And whether it's like a banger for a club that is just going to make your fucking mind go, blow up when you're on the dance floor, or some really deep, progressive 7-8 minute song that is just like going to take you on the journey, is going to mean something to you, and that's what I want when I create. I want, like, something that means something to somebody.
Yeah.
Because as a listener, this is what I listen to all the time.
Yeah.
As a listener, it's really hard for me to explain, like, I mean, like, I can do sessions and then I go deep straight away, but people want to stay on the surface because they just want to make the surface stuff. But when you grew up listening to, like, deep, meaningful music all the time, it's kind of like in my DNA,
Well, I think it stops formulaic music. I think when you're purely looking in, will this work in one setting? If you know what I mean, will this record work in a club as a peak time banger or as a festival headline show? Will this one record, will everyone want to play this record? Which, let's be honest, where the Born Dirty scene was going, that was kind of the scene you were in, right?
Yeah.
And that was in the scene that I was in to a certain extent, and still am.
Yeah.
And
go on.
There is a level where that becomes surface level because it's formulaic, right? And it's like, we need certain things that work on the dance floor,
right? But that's okay, though.
Totally okay.
No problem with that. It's just like to go all the way back, like the drums in the jungle. That's the DNA.
Of course,
that's not going to change. It's that repetitive, rhythm that's going to elevate you. Whatever your spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's just, that's the thing. So if that's your base, which is club music, then you sprinkle whatever else you want on that. But I don't even want to go into honestly, I don't want to complain about what people do, what they don't do.
No, because it's not about anybody else. Like,
it's not.
That's the thing.
It really isn't. Yeah. But it is about the culture. Which is, I want to come, circle back to that, because this is what we're talking about. It is about, are you coming in just to take from the culture and piss off, or are you here to be a part of the culture? But then someone else could come in and just be like, like the generic tech house is also a culture. I mean, look, it created a huge culture. There's loads of people around that. A lot of people.
Did it create culture or did it create commerce?
So there would be different people that will tell you both.
Yeah, but I'm asking you.
But ask a 20-year-old that was in that, He'd be like, yeah, man, I was completely, it was my people, the culture, we were having a beautiful time, and no, right? I can't be like, dude, no, like this is not the culture. You know, it's like, it's not even what I think at all. But I do think that the people behind the scene making the sound, a lot of people knew it was commerce.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing. They were not creating sounds to evolve or you know, move forward or try to change like a little bit of a sound here and there, you know, like
it's kind of what happened in EDM, right? In the EDM era, it started with, I think it started with authenticity, and then it switched to commerce, where it was like, oh fuck, this formula really works. Let's literally wring the living life out of this.
Yeah.
And then eventually it turns into just complete carbon copies of everything.
Yeah. But if you take any genre of music, it's like that.
Any genre.
All of it.
Yeah. Look at drum and bass right now. Drum and bass.
You took it out of my mouth.
Drum and bass, like, obviously has this cyclical of just going round and round, and then 1 minute drum and bass is like not popular, and then the next minute it's fucking the hottest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And then it just falls off the earth like no one gave a fuck about it.
Yeah. Grab your money right the fuck now, bro. Like,
look at Speed Garage. Speed Garage is doing exactly the same right now, and it's so interesting to see, because it's like the really interesting one is like the TikTok techno, the hard techno that's like going, and almost hard style, because I remember growing up in the hard house era in the like late 90s, early noughties, like where I like locally in the southwest in England, it was like they were still listening to happy hardcore like way later than anybody else. Like they held on to that for dear fucking life.
I hated that.
Dude, it's so bad. So bad.
Happy hardcore.
And now it's kind of going more and more that way, which is interesting because I find like the cycles of music comes and goes quicker, but it's taken ages for hardcore, hard techno, like the like gimmicky techno to like come back, and it's in the hardest way possible. It's weird.
Yeah. But also keep in mind that anybody with a tiny amount of gear can make techno. I know it's like, and I don't mean
I'm clipping that.
I am not. I'm serious. Anybody with a little bit of gear can make generic techno. Like,
I also disagree with you though, because I disagree with the fact that it has to be generic, because techno comes from minimalist, of like a dude with a drum machine and a keyboard, and that's Detroit techno. That's where it was.
So why do you disagree?
I disagree that it has to be generic.
Well, first I said I didn't say generic, and then you said I'm going to clip, and then because you said you're going to clip it. I want it to be clear. By generic, I actually mean like, you know, you can make a loop, and that's what techno is, and you can add the little thing. Bro, you know how much I fucking adore making techno under other names. And then, but I have for years, and my point is more like it creates saturation from people that really live that culture. In my opinion, it's just like that. But it's like that in a lot of genres.
What? Because it's easy to make, because it's the accessibility of making music is easy now.
Yeah, 100%. There's
Splice.
Like that's the beauty. It's the. I always said I fucking love that we have access to everything, and anybody can have access to everything. You know, it's dope because I have access to that. as
Of course.
well, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
It's like when we moved from, you know, carrying vinyls and DJing vinyls to whatever
USB.
CD, and then suddenly
Yeah.
it became you know, 2 vinyls that you carry with Serato, and now it's a USB.
Yeah.
Evolution, love it. Do I miss the vinyls? Yes, I do. Do I miss breaking my back? No, I don't. But it's like with music today and all the stores and all the tools that we have, anybody can just jump on that, and I fucking love that. But at the same time, when, you know, where it was like, maybe, I don't know, whatever, it's one person would release a track. Today it's just like 10,000 people release a track,
Yeah.
because you have access to all that, because
Yeah.
everyone, you know, wants to be a DJ. Everyone wants to be a lot of people wants to be a producer, DJ, this, that. And this comes back again to, in my opinion, the lack of culture. You want to be, it's awful, because the more we talk about this, the more I feel uncomfortable talking about that, in the sense of, I really want to talk about the culture and how we can all evolve together and make really this like happen. Like, culture's there, don't get me wrong, it's there, it doesn't need us, and, you know, it's not waiting for us. But in the sense of, there are work that needs to be done collectively to pull back into culture a little bit more. And I don't want to sound like it was better before, because it was. Because it fucking was. You know, when yeah, everybody wants to be a DJ to boom, but fucking hell, if you wanted to be a DJ back then, it took some hard fucking work.
Yeah.
It was your calling. You had decided that you were gonna, you know, sweat and bleed for this shit, you know, and we did, and it's awesome. Now I just don't, you know, it's hard sometimes to have that conversation. It's that, dude, you jaded, you're bitter, you're, you know, you're going down that path, blah, blah, blah. Hip hop wasn't bad, you know, before. It's the same thing. It's just like, we're talking about
Hip hop
culture.
was better before.
You said it. You said
I
it.
was listening to Wu-Tang the other day, and I'm like, fuck me, this is so good.
Bro, don't even get me started on
But
this.
I guess the thing that I recently had Junior Sanchez on the podcast, and we were talking about this, and like, I don't want this to turn into an old man, but saying it was better before.
Yeah.
But I think what's changed, in my opinion, is the art of DJing is no longer an art. Yeah. It's a vehicle to become famous. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that it feels like, which I actually don't have an issue with, the fact that people want to be famous. I think we've always been in a world where certain people want to be famous, right? Especially now with social media and everything like that, that the ability to be famous is way easier and people can make money, right? I think the thing is fame and culture doesn't go hand in hand. And when somebody's trying to be famous, but trying to be famous through being a DJ, you skip the reasons that why the whole like culture of the DJ, of the music, of the producer, because it's, okay, how do I get famous as quickly as possible? Yeah. And the way I'm going to use that is the vehicle of DJing or vehicle of releasing music, because I can go pay a producer to make my music. I can get some sick shots. I'm good at social media. I can do this, do that. I'm getting booked on these festivals because I've got strong media. Okay, I get signed to this record label, blah, blah, blah. It can be as easy as that, where the whole DJ thing was about entertaining a crowd and playing the best fucking records ever. Yeah. That you think are the best records for you. And are they going to move the dance floor? And are people going to come up to you and ask, what the fuck is this record?
Yeah.
And because they've never heard it before.
Yeah. It's the part of what you've just mentioned is the part of the story when I was explaining about, you know, the vinyls and moving on to that and blah, blah, blah. And the reason I got into this was because it was so powerful, this culture that suddenly I was immersed in, and physically it was incredible. You had to be good. Like, people were literally like on your fucking face if you were like not like, if you were not good enough. You were probably good but not good enough, and you know, you had to fuck off because it was, and go and work, you know. And in all honesty, I never in my life, when I was working towards that, I thought, oh, I'm doing this because I want to be famous. Never. It was the thing that was literally keeping me alive.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean paying the bills, because I have not paid the bills with music for decades.
Yeah.
I started very young and I started making money very late, you know, and maybe I wasn't good enough, you know, or maybe it was just tough, because back then I still had the ADHD and it was fucking crazy. But the point is, today, it's like, yeah, dude, if you want to fucking do this because you want people to put their hands up and adore you and blah, 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 fair enough. That's the thing. But this is not what I do it.
Yeah.
Still not today. And God knows that when you see me at a show, you know I'm doing this for you. You know? So, you know, it's just a thing. It's just like, it is part of the culture, the hard work. And when I think about it today, yeah, the saturation is complicated for me in my mind. And that's also why I think I also went to Rose Ryot, you know, just kind of like take a step back and then go into the deeper side of it, which honestly, musically, I have not released anything yet that would translate to what I'm talking about. But it's all there. It's just ready to come out. But
just get it out, baby.
You know, we'll see.
Let's talk live show.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the live tour. How was it for you?
So anybody that doesn't know, is listening.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Last year we did a live show, and Mika Rose Ryot came on and supported the tour with me. We did 6 shows. Probably the 3 weeks, the most stressful 3 weeks in my life for a very long time, in a career sense. But looking back, it was amazing.
I mean, it was a crazy experience. From the outside, it's easier. I was telling you every night that we would play. As we know, it's impossible to have a clear perspective when it's you playing.
Yeah.
And when you come off stage, still, whatever feeling you have, whether it's good, it's bad, whatever it is, it's still not 100% clear. It's a blur, it's a mess, it's a fucking, all the emotions, all the hard work, all the fucking everything that came, you know. But from the outside, watching your show, I thought it was amazing.
Thanks, man.
You know, I really thought, I mean, and God knows that if it wasn't, I would tell you.
I know.
But fuck, man, it was so good. It was so good. And not only it was so good because sound wise and visually and the vibes and the way you were playing, but you went all the way to like, and there's other steps there. You can even level up and level up and level up. You know, it's just like, you know, but holy shit, like it was, people have no idea how demanding this was.
Yeah.
No, you know, and you know, they shouldn't really. They should just come and have a good time. They shouldn't worry about how hard it was to put this together for you. But
how hard was it for you?
It was. It looking back, I mean, it wasn't too hard, but in the sense of I was still figuring out what I was doing. I was still figuring out not what I was doing, but how I should do it.
Yeah.
Is it with the guitar? Is it with that guitar? Should I sing? Should I not sing? Should I play samples? Should I not? You know, it was this thing. And then as we were going with the tour, I started to, it was, the core was the same, but I was starting to figure, at the end of the tour, I was just like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I know exactly what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to do. And there's environments. The hard part was the accepting that there was a crowd that came to listen to you and therefore thinking they were going to listen to electronic music,
Yeah.
you know, club stuff, and then being in front of a dude with a guitar singing like, you know, about, you know, losing friends and family members, you know, which, you know, I've realized I've had people in the crowd afterwards that saw me that grabbed me really, really, really hard. And they were like, Jesus, that was incredible.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were just like, this was fucking garbage. And, but that's the price to pay, you know, that's the price to pay. And, you know, you took a risk to bring me on, like, cause you wanted something live too and something different, you know, but, I think it's something we've all learned a lesson here. I mean, you know, I have for sure, like, you know, when we are talking, you know, we can go back to all the beginning when we're talking about genres as being an artist, and you do this genre, that genre, this thing, this, you know, you came to the show, I play like a slow jam and more James Blake type of thing. Then I'll go into like a halftime fucking whatever the fuck French sounding thing, then a house thing, then the drum and bass thing. And for some people they love that, and some people go really confused about that. But as an artist, that's what it means to me as myself. That's what I want to offer to somebody.
But I think that's the thing, is like, by just putting it out there, right, you set the bar of this is who you are.
Yeah.
And then it's down to whoever wants to get involved with that and say, yes, I love it, or no, I don't.
Yeah.
But I think there's also that level of like, it goes back to what we said in the beginning. You have to start that somewhere.
Yeah, I do. And that's releasing music. But at the same time, you know, there's so much to like unpack when we say, hey, release music, just release music, just release music. It's just like, it's a tough, there's the commerce jacket on. Yeah, release music every other 3. The ChatGPT said every 2.5 weeks at 7 p.m. on
Is that
the
what
Sunday.
it says now?
No, I'm just, somebody is going to say something and everyone's going to say the same thing and everyone's going to believe that this is the way to do it. And then fucking 10 days later, it's something else. And then, boom, boom, boom. That's that jacket. The other jacket is just like, I actually just want to release really good music.
Yeah.
When I'm ready, when I want to. But then, you know, my mortgage is just like, can you put the other jacket on, please, for 5 minutes, right? This is where the battle is for me. Like, it's really heavy. Like, it's hard. Otherwise, I can fucking release music every day. Like, I have so much like things in my computer that could be anything. And then I hear some other stuff. I'm like, shit, I should just release music. Why am I even tripping? I'm like, why am I even fucking overthinking this thing?
Yeah. But I think that was the thing with like the live show and me asking you to come on. It was like, we've just got to do it. Like, if you say yes, you tried to get out of it so many times. You messaged me so many times and were like,
but there was reasons behind that. There's
I know the
real
reasons behind. I know the reasons behind that.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, I don't want to do it. I really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I care about your success more than me just wanting to be on this tour.
But I guess the thing is I care about you doing this than my success.
Yeah, but that was this is one of us had. I mean, you know, you won that one, but yeah, it's just that you know, I've yeah, man, it was an amazing experience for me, and I just know how I want to do it moving forward. You remember I was just like, hey man, I think I'm going to bring a drummer.
Yeah.
You know, you and Ryan was like, no.
It's like, dude, chill.
No, when I think about it now, afterwards, the shit that we imagine if we had to carry drums on top of it. That would have been like a fucking.
I'm like, Mika, the drums are yours. Fucking deal with them.
Well, the good thing is we would have had extra arms, so the drummer, you know,
only two.
Exactly. And honestly, just to carry a drum kit, it's just a fucking mental. But anyway, moving forward, like I think this is, you know, something it makes sense to me. Like the way I want to do it with a drummer. I want to feel like a live band.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a tough one to crack. You know, it's a tough one to crack in the industry because mostly we're connected to the EDM world. You know, electronic dance music world. You know?
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because I was thinking that as you were saying that, it's like the world don't like different genres in a sense of like the electronic music scene just doesn't cross over to any other scene, although so many other scenes use our sounds and use our formulas and kind of everything like that. That nothing, like very rarely you'll get a manager that looks after a hip-hop act and a techno act.
Yeah,
like just doesn't. It's two completely different worlds.
Yeah,
and
these two especially, like I find like hip-hop is I find like if you have hip hop, it depends. I find hip hop is closer to a band. Like I find like a manager that manages an indie band could potentially manage a hip hop band. I find that easier than a hip hop band and a DJ in the EDM world. It's just completely like, you know, this is. Right now it's just like I'm trying to figure out like where is this project like sits live wise. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to be able to go and do more shows and keep moving that project that way. But I also live in LA, so there are places here. It's not loads. Like, you know, it's not like
it's also really hard to work that out because like me and my team, like when I decided to do the album and then decided to do the live show, like, yes, like Ryan has worked on live shows before, right? As an agent when he was an agent. He's never managed a live show. He's never managed an artist that does records that don't work in a club.
Yeah.
None of us have. So we're all just going into it, just fucking winging it. And there's a level of like, this is exciting. And there's a level of, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. A lot of that.
Yeah, but I think I think for me it was like I've learnt in the last in 2024, although it was financially a very expensive year for me in the sense of I made barely any fucking money. Yeah. It was probably the biggest amount of university in my career that I've ever learned in my life. And I didn't have a university debt. Like I came out all right, if you know what I mean. And I've got a roof over my head, and I'm still doing what I'm doing. But yeah, it's fucking scary.
It's hard, man. It's hard, and it's tough to find you know, I can only assume I've been a promoter too back in London. It's hard, man. It's a hard space. And today I don't know how it is. I can't even imagine. So to bring a live act, it's a whole thing, you know. Much rather have 5 DJs, you know. It's quick. You know, it's and God knows, like I love DJing still. I was invited to go and play in Denver, just, you know, a few months ago as Born Day, and I haven't done a single show. And I loved it, man. I fucking went in. I just fucking took my USB and my headphones.
So easy.
I was just like, wow, this is cool. This is also cool, you know, kind of thing. It's and I had so much fun. I was just playing what the fuck I wanted, and you know, read the crowd and have a good time. But you know, the live thing is just another. But I come from that, you know. I grew up in bands. I grew up singing in pubs, you know, solo with the band, boom, boom, you know. So it's something that I always wanted to do it with Born Day, but I was always told no. Imagine if I did fucking Born Day live with the drummer. That would have been fucking sick. But I'm weak like that. If someone I trust says no, it does derail me, you know. It's not all the time, but some, you know, it happens a lot.
I think sometimes though, like hearing no is a good thing.
Of course, I agree to that.
Because I think there comes levels of like, if we didn't have people to like bring us back as artists, we'd be doing the most stupid things ever.
Right, but the most stupid things ever are the things that just change the fucking game. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm going to change the game. I'm just saying, if you always listen to people that says no, the people that are, you know, collected and put this square in there and this triangle in here, and then this is that date and that time and that thing, and everything has to be perfect, and, you know, be careful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm scared. You don't do shit. If you look back, all the crazy shit is the people that just nuts and just don't give a fuck and don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and I'm really like, I wish I could do that more. I don't because right now it's just like the situation I'm in is just like, I'm trying to find my way back into commerce a little bit, but at the same time, it has to be through genuine like creation and, you know, genuinely be who I am. I'm not just going to make some commercial shit. But yeah, man, it's a lot of music. I'm excited to like get some Born Day tracks out as well. There's some I've got this ginormous folder of music that I think I'm just going to get some tracks out just because, and some Rose Ryot tracks. But we'll see. I've been writing. I'm doing this remix for you as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, man. The thing is, it's just like I'm kind of like going back into. I'm in my like massive attack phase right now. You know, I'm really, and it's always there. It's always there, one form or another. You might not be like, oh, it sounds like Massive Attack or whatever. It's just there's a hint of inspiration, but I think the hint is like harder right now. It's like, and I make it, and then I'm like, oh my god, shit sounds like a fucking Massive Attack track. And I didn't do it on purpose. It just happens, and then suddenly you're in there, and you're like, oh shit, okay. But fine, you know, whatever. Yeah,
I think there's a level where those influences they were so influential during that part of our lives. Everyone's got different influences, right?
Yeah.
But like, I know for me, and the same for you, that band was very influential in certain periods of our lives. And
Massively. That's the thing, is it's like, again, like this business that we are in was built, but not by artists. And I say this because the way I grew up, or that core time when I was in London, everyone that was around me, all the artists that was creating, everyone was doing everything. It was just this melting pot, this hybridness. Everything was so hybrid, and no one was questioning anything. The more hybrid it was, the more people was like, "What the fuck is this?" Today feels like it's taboo. It's just like, oh my god, like that is the line. Like you've crossed that line. I'm like, my tiny toe crossed that line, and you're already freaking out. It's just like, so that's the thing. It's just like,
is that just based on the people you surround yourself with?
Well, I don't surround myself by a lot of people.
No, but you know what I mean. You like people that have said no to that previously.
Yeah, I think it's, well, in all honesty, I've lived this so many times in my life where I heard no, and then years later, it's what's,
yes.
it's,
yeah,
it's what's moving. It's not even yes to me, because I'm already doing something else.
Yeah.
And my timing, hasn't been great. That's the reality.
Yeah.
It's just, my timing hasn't been great all the time. But I think what's important today, and it's one more time a loop back to culture. It's just like, and I've been telling you this forever. And before we met, I was already talking about this. It's about being a collective of like-minded people, kind people that care, and like you said right at the beginning, we can call the shots. We are the artists. We are the creators.
Yeah.
Now, easily someone can be like today, like a hardcore business person, be like, I don't give a fuck about you. I can get this person, just go get some AI shit, and I will just I'll make as much money whether you're in or you're not.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm not worried about this at all. I had moments where I was like, oh my God. Now I'm thinking, not at all. Like, this is for a type of person, and this is not who I'm making music for anyway. So it doesn't matter. But the collective is what really, really matters.
I totally agree. Like all the conversations I'm having at this moment in time is collective and communities.
Yeah.
And it's how do you engage with a community? How do you build a community, a collective? How do you, whether that's 2 people, whether that's 2 million people, whatever that is, like, how do you start that, and how do you nurture that?
When I say this, see, but this is where, and I know you mean this in the absolute utmost, like, positive way, but I don't even think about people yet.
Yeah.
People will come if they want to, if they feel good, if it makes sense, if it's genuine. When I talk about collective, I mean artists purely. People, a group of people that they do this together to hold each other up and accountable, and also accountable for quality. There's a quality control. I mean, I'm not going to be like, dude, this is shit, it's not coming out. It's like, not at all. It's not what I mean. But we know it's like an unsaid thing where you work with people you already love and you love their music. It's enough said. That's what I mean by quality. And then you create a collective with people that are kind, and they start doing their own thing, and they start building together, and they start a movement even however small it is. Eventually people will come to that. I am not doing that for people to come to it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, I think people will come to it if it's genuine and if it's shit. If I fucking release the music, of course, but otherwise it's just talk. But I'm saying it's really, really, really important today. And I've been saying this for fucking so long, but today it's very important. It's drastic how much we need this right now. You know,
I don't disagree.
Yeah, we were talking about this. You remember we were talking about this about Brennan during the pandemic. I was like, dude, telling you, bro, we need to do a collective era with Brennan, you, blah, blah, blah. And we agreed, but we didn't do it because life, because COVID, because this, because that. But today it's essential. You have to. And I think it will make a huge difference. And, you know, Tyler, the creator, and Odd Future, and there's so many collectives that we can talk about, but they knew that, you know, they did this because they were homies, and then it felt good to do it together.
Yeah.
And that was that, you know, and I think this is how you know, if you're starting today, if you're listening to this, I will tell you my 2 cents is really to, like, even if you have one friend, doesn't have to be a collective, is 2 people is good enough. It's great. Just be with, like, really like-minded people that bring you up, you know, like, all the time, and you bring them up, and that shit is just it's gonna work, you know, and hard work and good music.
I agree,
good
man.
music, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, man.
Good music does matter.
It does, but who's there to say, oh, you know, it's good, it's not? I mean, French people are there for that, but yeah. that's basically, we decide what's good, what's not.
Literally.
You know, it's hard, man. But yeah, man, it's dope.
How can people find Rose Ryot? How can people get involved with the project?
Well, Rose Ryot, it's Rose Ryot on every social media. It's ROSE, and Ryot is RYOT, not RIOT. So Rose Ryot with the Y. That's it. They can find me there. If you get on Spotify, you'll see a few tunes, but really a bunch of stuff. Hopefully it's going to come out, and that's it, man. And you can just hit me up, DM me some DMs.
Slide in those DMs, baby.
Clip that. Yeah, man. But yeah, thanks for having me again.
Thanks for coming on, man.
And then I'm gonna work on your remix today.
Sick. Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, man. It's I love this fucking tune.
Let's end this. Love you, man. See you in a bit. Peace. And that's a wrap. Big love to Rose Ryot for coming on. Thanks for all listening. Please hit subscribe. Please give us a follow. Please like, share, send it to your mates if you dig it. Give us a comment in the captions below. Love you all. Till next time.